then more when he snaps one while he's playing. Oh, great. See, now my cats used to attack that when they were younger.
If you tie some cardboard to it, then it's just one of those little.
Oh, I was trying to restring and the one cat,
Just like going for it.
just, I had to go in a room and close the door.
Are you serious?
It's so funny.
When they were young. You don't like that one?
I'm using this one as a table.
That really was a question. It wasn't
That's what I'm putting my tuchus on.
Did you want to talk after?
Yeah. No.
Okay.
I should bring some of this stuff back.
Yeah. For sure.
Good Shabbos.
What is this picture from?
That's half, isn't it? That's half. Use it in the circle in the middle all the time.
Hey, Michael, am I muted maybe? No, I'm definitely too loud. I'm too loud now for sure.
Yeah. It wasn't coming through when I left the booth.
Oh, I was muted down here when I did.
Wait, why were you saying why can't?
At the beginning, I wasn't hearing it. You want to leave that with me?
It had been muted. And so I was like, oh, let me check. And it was like, oh yeah, there's no sound coming out. That's weird. I know.
Reini mikabel alai et mitzvah habore v'ahavta reacha kamocha reacha kamocha Reini mikabel alai et mitzvah abore ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha Yum diddy dum yiddy da 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 da.
Yum
Yiddy dum yiddy da 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 da.
Yum
Yiddy dum yiddy da 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 da. Yay day yay day day yay day yum diddy da da da. Yay day day yay day yum diddy da da da. Yay day day yay day yum diddy da da da. Yay day yay yiddy day day yiddy day day yiddy day yiddy day day yiddy day day. Good Shabbos, everyone. Sound okay? Is it too loud, too quiet, too anything? Too perfect. You hear that, Michael? Too perfect.
All right.
Change something. It's too perfect.
What are you going to kvetch about then? That's not Jewish.
I was thinking about that famous story in the Talmud of Hillel and Shammai. Told so many times it almost becomes a cliche, but sometimes I think we miss the deeper lesson. We're told of a prospective convert who comes before Hillel and Shammai, the two great rabbis of the age, and says, with some chutzpah, if you can teach me all the Torah while standing on one foot, I'll join the Jewish people. Shammai, we're told, takes out his builder's cubit, takes out his long ruler and chases the guy down to smack him. Really, that's what it says. Hillel, on the other hand, goes over, stands on one foot and says, what is hateful to you, make sure it doesn't happen to anyone else. That's the part we focus on. So it's the next part. It's the next part that I think we sometimes miss. The rest, he says, is commentary. Now go and study. But there's a deeper idea here, not just to go and study this, not just to study Torah, but that this is how we are supposed to interpret, this is how we are supposed to teach, this is how we are supposed to live Torah, so that everything that we do is in service to this, in service to the idea of making us attuned to the needs of the vulnerable, leveraging the bad that has happened in our lives, and there is too much bad too often, but leveraging it so that we have empathy for those who are vulnerable today, those who will be vulnerable in the future. This is what Hillel is teaching. When you light Shabbos candles, let it make you a better person. When you kiss the mezuzah, let it remind us of who we want to be when we walk in. When we say Mi Chamocha, let us remember what it meant to be enslaved. Let it change us. V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, we begin with. Page 3. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. Everything else should be an interpretation of this. Reini mekabel alai et mitzvat abore v'ahavta l'reacha kamocha l'reacha kamocha. Hareini mekabel alai et mitzvat abore ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha l'reacha kamocha. Yum dididum yididai-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Yum dididum yididai-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Yididum yidida da 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 yada yada da yada yum yidida da da yada da yada yidida da da yada da yum yidida da da yada yidida da Stacy and Ed, can I put you on the spot to come light the candles? I know better than to ask in advance, you know. Take a moment. Take a moment for more light. Take a moment to bring in more light. We light candles as Shabbos begins, but the other time we have these Shabbos candles lit is underneath a chuppah. All of these moments of joy, all of these moments of transformation, all of these moments of light in the world. Bring in the light.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ruach haolam, asher kichon b'mitzvotav, v'tzivonu l'hadlik ner shel Shabbat. Page 8. Shabbos is the belief that transformation is possible. That we can change our world, that we can change ourselves. That for a day we can just be, not control, not hold, just be. And that somehow, some way through this being, connecting to the cycles of the moon, the cycles of the sun, the way the earth spins, the way the night comes, giving ourselves over to that which we cannot control. But somehow, we will be more ready for the week ahead. Ya la 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 lichadudi, ya la 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 likraskala. Ya la 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 P'nei Shabbat Nika Abila Shemo v'zachor בדיבור אחד השמיענו אל המיוחד אדוני אחד ושמו אחד לשמו תפארת ולנחילה יא לה 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 לך דודי יא לה 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 לקראת סקלה יא לה 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 פני שבת נקרא Top of page 9 לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה כי היא מקור הברכה מראש מקדם נסוכה סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה יא לה 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 לך דודי יא לה 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 לקראת סקלה יא לה 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 בני שבת נקרא התעוררי כי באורך קומי אורי שדברי כבוד אדוני לך נגלה יא לה 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 לך דודי יא לה 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 לקראת קלה יא לה 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 פני שבת נקרא. We turn towards the entrance. We welcome Shabbos as a bride. We welcome the world changing. בואי ושלום, עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה וצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה standing, invite you to remain standing as we turn to page 11. Call each other to the work of the service. It's the same word in Hebrew, work and service. Avodah. The Avodah Shebalev, the work of the heart. This is what prayer is when we do it right. Prayer doesn't change God. Prayer doesn't even change the world. But when we do it right, prayer changes us. Yeah. Yiddy-day-day-day. 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 Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Va'ed. Yidday, 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 May be seated. Sometimes the things that seem the most obvious are the things that science says may not exist at all. We live our lives as if time runs in one direction from past to future, as if every moment is here and then gone and never to be again. And yet the cake of the universe can be sliced in the other direction too. It's what Einstein taught. It's what Oppenheimer taught. Every moment, not gone, but sitting there. Sitting there, always there. Past, present, future. Interchangeable in the Olam. We have this built into Hebrew, where the word for space, the word for time, the word for expanse is all the same. Olam. Page 12. Together. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chokhma poteach sha'arim, uvidvuna mishanei itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umsader et hakochavim, b'mishberotehem berakia kirtzono, borei yom v'layla, golei elor mibnei choshech, v'choshech mibnei or, Umavir yom umevi laila, umavdil bein yom uvein laila, Adonai tzevaot shemo, El chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch, aleinu leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai hamariv haravim. Baruch atah Adonai hamariv haravim. Turn to page 15. Take a moment to let the dualities fade away. To let all that separates us fade away. To back away from our world. zoom in on our lives. Page 15, if it's your custom to rise, invite you to do so. If it's your custom to be seated, invite you to do so. It's my custom to be seated, but I'm always standing. Cover our eyes. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 If you're standing, you may be seated. Page 16. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'otecha v'hayu הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ושוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם להיות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. Page 18. Over and over again. Over and over again, our tradition engages us, forces us to engage, commands us more than any other commandment with these ideas that we were strangers in the land of Egypt, and that having been strangers, we are obligated today. You shall not oppress the stranger, the widow, or the orphan, for you were strangers, and you know what it has been like. Over and over again, our tradition repeats this. Twice a day with Micha Mocha, 36 times in the Torah. We repeat it because it's a lesson we never fully learn, a lesson history never fully teaches us, a lesson our lives push us in the opposite direction of. We wish we lived in a world where the experience of powerlessness made us more moral. But the truth is that trauma just makes us traumatized. so our tradition says we center this. We center this idea that we were vulnerable. And so we are obligated to those who are vulnerable today. We remind ourselves so that we see the world a little differently. Page 18. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nera b'kodesh, nora tehilot osef nora tehilot osef yom tiri oh 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 yom tiri yiri dum yiri ay oh yiri do yiri dum yiri ay oh yiri do Malechutecha ra'u vanecha Bokei hayam lifnei Moshe uMiriam Ze'eli anu ve'yamru Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed Yom tiri oh 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 Yom tiri yiri dum yiri ay yo yiri do yiri dum yiri ay yo yiri do v'ne'emar kifata Adonai et Yaakov uge'alo meyad chazak mimenu baruch atah Adonai Ga'a Yisrael Ga'a Yisrael Yadai Yom tiri oh 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 Yom tiri yiri dum yiri ay oh yiri do yiri dum yiri ay oh yiri do Baruch atah Adonai Ga'a Yisrael Ga'a Yisrael Page 20. Ring the bells that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. There's a crack in everything. It's how the light gets in. Ashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leShalom, Hamidenu Shomrenu leChaim. Ashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leShalom, Hamidenu Shomrenu leChaim. Allow us to lie and rise in peace. Shalom. Allow us to lie and rise in peace. Shalom. Ashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leShalom, Hamidenu Shomrenu leChaim. Ashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leShalom, v'hamidenu shomrenu leChaim. Ufros aleinu sukat, sukat shlomecha. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Cover over us tonight with a sukkah shalom, a shelter of peace for you, for those you love, a sukkah shalom over all creation, over all creation, over all creation. Ashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leShalom, Hamidenu Shomreinu leChaim. Ashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leShalom, Hamidenu Shomreinu leChaim. Hamidenu Shomreinu leChaim. Rise as we are able, as we turn to page 23 for the Amidah. The Amidah goes through page 32. We'll say the Chatzi Kaddish together on 22. Sorry, too many page numbers in a row. We'll say the Chatzi Kaddish together on page 22 and then continue with our own prayers, the prayers of our hearts, the prayers of the page. We may be seated whenever we are done. Yitkadav, Yitkadash, Shemei Rabbah, Be'amad Divrach Rute, Ve'amlich Malchute, B'chayechon u'v'yomechon, u'v'chayedecho be'Yisrael, Bagala, Bagala, u'vizman kariv, v'yimeru, Amen. Yehishmei Rabba Mevorach, Le'alam Olam Me'almaya, Yitbarach, Yitbarach, V'yishtabach, V'yitpa'ar, V'yitromam, V'yitnaseh, V'yitadar, V'yitalal, V'yitalal, Shamei Dekudesha, Brichu, Leila min kol birchata v'shirata, Tushbechata v'nechemata, Damiran be'alma, v'yimeru, Amen. Adonai, sifatai tiftach, ufi agitei latecha. Adonai, sifatai tiftach, ufi agitei latecha. Adonai, sifatai tiftach, ufi agitei latecha. Take a moment with our hearts open by prayer from Mishaberach Lecholim, for a prayer for healing, for those who are sick, for those who are ill, for those who are heartbroken. If you're thinking of someone right now, if you'd like to share their name, I invite you to put up a hand or rise or some other way that we can acknowledge you. For your sister. For Stephen. Yeah, Autumn. For Haley. Yeah, Paul. I'm not going to repeat that one in the microphone. I was specific instructions not to. But we're thinking of her. Steve. For Andy, for Jamie. Michael, do we have names from the stream?
Yes, we're praying for Amitai Beniso, Lauren Yaffe, Sherry Waxman.
Steve Arnold is recovering. For the neighbor of your dad's.
My friend Tim, who sings with me at the courthouse.
For Tim. Yeah. For all those families who don't want to be named. Sometimes saying our own name is the hardest of all.
Always the hardest.
Page 34. Oh, yes, Sarah. For Mary Kilroy. Page 34. Misheberach Avotenu Mikor Abrecha Leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. For Chava Sarah and Hannah Roberts, for Marilyn Weiss and Essie Mitchell, for Gloria Lash and Amy Lampert, Bitzlel Cohen and Maya Purnell, for Daniel Tzvi Ben Fega Toiba and Alan Nissenboim, for Patricia Nelson and Curtis Behrens, for Hank Webbers and Adam Young, for Anna Navarro and Will Mason, for Yitzhak Ben Mordechai Lev and Travis Brown, for Ricky Reeves and Colony Chapel, for Maggie Bradford and Jordan Cronemer, for Drew Patchen, Chaim Lev, Ben Simcha Miriam, for Robert Shepard, Meredith Berkowitz. Misheberach Imotenu Mikor Abrecha Le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. We say Baruch atah Adonai Rofeh HaCholim. Blessed is the source of goodness that calls us to the work of healing. And we say Amen. Invite everyone to rise as you are able, page 38, as we begin to end our services with the words of Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, latekiru la liotzer breshit, shelo asanu kigoye haratzot, velo samanu k'mishpechot hadama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, vegor aleinu k'cho hamonam, v'anachnu korim, ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסר הארץ ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומים הוא אלוהינו, אין עוד, אמת מלכנו, אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים, בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו echad. You may be seated. Take just a moment to talk a few words of Torah. Tomorrow morning, we're going to tell the story of Hebron. We're going to read the story of Hebron in the ancient Torah. This first place in Israel, the first place in the land of Canaan that was ours. And we'll also tell the story of Hebron today, which is maybe the very worst place in the occupation. But you got to come tomorrow if you want that story. We have really the introduction of the great matriarch of the Torah. Of course, we have Sarah and Rachel and Leah, and of course they bring so much, but Rebecca is the star of her generation. Isaac is, how do we say this gently? He's a little nebbishy. He's a little bit of a schlub. We don't get a lot out of him, but Rivka. And so we get her introduction in this week's Torah portion. Eliezer, Abraham's guide, is sent over to find him a bride. Actually, to find him one of his cousins as a bride, but And he finds Rivka, and Rivka comes back, and there's this great scene. We miss all of the humor in the Torah, but there's this great scene where she's riding in on a camel, and she sees Isaac, and she falls off of her camel. Talk about falling in love. But the piece that stood out to me, that I keep thinking of from this week's Torah portion, is Rivka's brother is Laban, who turns into the bad guy of the next generation. Of course, Jacob is going to end up marrying Laban's two daughters. Again, this is a lot of very close relationships here. Not genetically advisable, yeah. But Laban turns into a bad guy. We're going to see that next week, the week after, we're going to see it. But he's not such a bad guy here. And yet the Midrash imagines all of these terrible things that he is doing. The Midrash imagines that Laban looks over and he sees Eliezer, Abraham's guide, and he sees the gold that he has, and he thinks, I'm going to get my sister to marry him. Look at all of that money. he's got. It says that Laban is constantly going after, trying to figure out how this can work out best for him. I was struck that none of that is in the Torah. Laban's bad enough on his own, right? We don't need these other stories to convince us how awful he is, and yet they are there because I think it is this very human inclination to turn those who feel like our enemies into caricatures, to treat them as if they're not real human beings too. The Torah imagines that Laban is doing bad because he wants to do bad, or I should say the Midrash imagines that Laban is doing bad because he wants to do bad, when the truth of it is, and this is the hardest thing to accept, that those that we look out and we say they are wrong, those that we look out and we are tempted to say they aren't just wrong, but they are our enemy, that they too are doing what they are doing because they believe that it is for the best. And it is so hard to accept that. And yet when we turn others, when we turn our neighbors, even when we turn just under 50% of Americans into caricatures, we miss the fullness. We miss the fullness that they are people. We miss the possibility of connection. We miss the possibility of change. And this ultimately, our tradition teaches that more than anything else, we have to see others as divine images so that they can change, so that we can change, so that we all can grow. So, whether we are talking about Laban, whether we are talking about our neighbors, whether we are talking about that one uncle who's going to be there at Thanksgiving, we all have that one uncle. It's always an uncle. If you don't have that uncle, it might be you. But we love you anyways. Let us try not to turn them into Labans. Let us try to see each other as human beings, as images of the divine. Shabbat shalom. So we take a moment. We take a moment to acknowledge those in our community who are in mourning. Yael, Mirav, Alan, we love you. We love you. And we are so sorry. Our hearts break with you. For your mom, for your wife, for the amazing Molly. If there are others who are saying Kaddish right now, I invite you to rise. I invite you to put up a hand, some way that we can acknowledge you and hear the names.
For what birthday? 100th
Kinahara.
birthday.
Kinahara of a blessed memory. For your dad, did you say Jack? Of a blessed memory. 10 years. For Trish Partridge.
That's why.
For your sister. Zichronah lebracha. Kwan. Aye, we are so sorry. What a blessed memory. Sarah. Thank you. Ed. Blessed memory. Remember those who have a yahrzeit right now, this week, an anniversary of a loss. For Bessie Gimpelson and Geraldine Portman. For Chuck Moore and Mayor David Mitchell. For Rose Mass and Ruth Gustorf. For Sandra Mayer and Bobby Williams. For Charles Fremder and Irving Bell and Meredith Littlejohn. For Ethel Chaffetz and Herman Goldstein. For Dave Phillips. For Lula Schmidt and Molly Silverstone. For Sadie Linder and for Sadie Pattis, my great-grandma. For Sandra Kogan and Sophie Weil. For Abraham Epstein and Dorothy Grodsky. For Elsie Anspach and Esther Furman. For Harriet Sector and Sarah Fremder. For Betty Aaron and Emily Cohn and Golda Weitzman. For Helen Palkus and May Horn and Milton Halpern. For Murray Lazarus and Richard Marks. For Anna Zarin and Bernard Shanin. For Darlene Jacobs and Kira Terriden. For those we've lost this year. For Gerald Siegel and Sammy Schaas. For Susan Hudis Kopelman and Carl Smith. For Bette Miller and Morris Tamsky. Marilyn Schreier and Ron Kramer. For Dr. Eduardo Sletopolsky and Gary Sewell. For Anne Lee Frank and Rhonda Banford and Ralph Wafer. For Marilyn Fox and Eileen Ehrlich. For Rick Isserman and Myra Levine and Gina Rotman. For Sherry Fox. For Miriam Weintraub. And for Barry Friedman. Ask everyone as we are able to please rise as we stand shoulder to shoulder with our mourners. Page 41. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah be'alma divra chrute v'yamlich malchute b'chayechon uvyomechon uvchaye d'chol beit Yisrael b'agala uvizman kariv b'imru. Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba Mivarach Leolam Olmei Almaya Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitba'ar V'yitromam V'yitnaseh V'yitadar V'yitaleh V'yitalal Shmei Tekudisha Brichu Le'ela Min Kol Birchata V'shirata Tushbechata V'nechamata Damiran Be'alma V'imru. Amen. Yehi Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya V'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru. Amen. For John Kennedy, a blessed memory. Of course, the 22nd. Oseh shalom b'mromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru. May the memories of all of those that we mourn, all of those that we miss, be a blessing in our lives. And we say, Amen. You may be seated as we take just a moment for a few announcements. Please, 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 it says, there are 3 pleases. Fill out the High Holy Day survey. I feel like I should have had a Dr. Seuss poem to go with that. But we would love to hear your thoughts. Those who are streaming, those who are here in person, we would love to hear your thoughts on the holidays, on what you loved, on ways that we can do better next year, on all of it. The food that was good, the Yom Kippur lunch that Paul provided. It was the whole. No, please fill out the survey. I like people are getting the Yom Kippur lunch joke a little late there. It's good. You can find QR codes out there. You can find a link on the website. Hybrid Torah study, as always, is 9 a.m. You can meet in the library or online on Zoom. Join CRC members on November 23rd for First Date at the New Jewish Theater. The New Jewish Theater has been putting on amazing shows, amazing shows. There is a Holy Grounds Collaborative, this interfaith group that CRC has been a part of for decades, is putting on its annual concert on November 24th at 3 o'clock. Again, check the website for all of these details. Menschmakers, our great program for little ones and their adults to do social action work together. Menschmakers is making teacups for gift bundles for seniors at the Crown Center Meals on Wheels program. This is going to be December 14th, and we're looking for congregants to sponsor individual teacups for $5 or $18 for 4 teacups. So there's a Venmo link and all of these things. Check the website. And they're selling CRC Hanukkah swag, T-shirts, sweatshirts, all these things, and all of the proceeds go to Menschmakers. So you can find that online and in the lobby. There are so many other announcements here. I'll just do one more, which is that CRC's member retreat, our family retreat, our intergenerational retreat, whichever of those titles you like better is the one we're going with, will be January 24th and 25th at Camp Wyman. It was a blast last year. We've got a few people who came. It was really amazing. It was intergenerational. We had 90-year-olds, we had 5-year-olds, we had the whole mix of people, and I think everyone who went came back just feeling so connected to each other. Yeah, we were going to hold it in Costa Rica this year. We were going to put it on Rabbi Randy's discretionary card, but it maxed out. I don't know. No, Camp Wyman, January 24th and 25th. Come and join us. It's a lot of fun. Any other crowdsourced announcements? Avi.
Moshe House is having a Shabbat dinner tonight. I am headed over to Meskarim right after the service to grab some Ethiopian food because we're going to learn a little bit about the Ethiopian Jewish holiday of Sigd. There's going to be fun music, delicious food, so if you're interested in coming, I'll hang around in the Oneg for about 5 minutes and give you the address. Thanks.
Oh yeah, Mazel Tov to Avi, who just had a birthday. Happy birthday. Hold on, what else are we Mazel Toving him about? Avi is a Jewish Ideas Fellow with Hebrew Union College, along with Samantha Fomera. And so we're very lucky to have Avi, to have Samantha, and very lucky that they are going to be a part of this fellowship connected with CRC. Oh, there you go, Avi. It's, get you to blush a little bit. And his birthday. Let's give each other a blessing. Come on in the middle, Leslie. It's a sandwich here. Yivirecha Adonai v'yishmerecha.
May we be blessed and kept safe this Shabbat.
Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka.
Cling to each other.
Yis Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. And most of all, may we have the greatest gift of all, the gift of peace. We say, Amen. And Shabbat Shalom.